Hello everybody, I am the Dire Duck. So, the Gaslight District have been out for a while now, so I think it's high time we discuss the giant crow in the room. Will the Gaslight District actually get picked up for a full season? It seemed fairly obvious at a first glance. Yes, of course it will get a full season. The pilot got 15 million views after all. They're selling merch for it, and every other glitch show has gotten a full season, including the ones that got way less views. Well, it's not quite as simple as that. There's actually a lot more going on than you might first expect. That is what we'll be discussing today, but before we begin, remember to crush that like button and gun down that subscribe button so I can distract myself from the inevitable end. First of all, you must be wondering, why am I even questioning whether or not the show will be picked up for a full season in the first place? Well, it is because of the words I have heard straight from the horse's mouth, or in this case, the seagull mouth. I have noticed that whenever Part-Time Seagull talks about the Gaslight District after the pilot released, like at the Gaslight panel during Level Up Expo, or on a recent livestream, he seems to make a point of saying the word if when speaking about the future of the show.
Also, I keep saying this, if we get to do a full show and my character comes back.
He usually follows up these statements with a request to support the Gaslight District and buy the show's merch. This got me thinking, and led me to conclude that Glitch has not decided what they're actually going to do with the Gaslight District yet. Or at the very least, they have not told Part-Time Seagull what they're doing with it. This means that the fate of the Gaslight District may be hanging in the balance. Assuming that this is true, then there are a few possible reasons why Glitch may currently be hesitant with the show, starting with the views. Now, you might be thinking, the Gaslight District got over 50 million views. That is more than what Murder Drones got on its initial release, and blows Meta Runners and Sunset Paradise out of the water, along with most other indie animated projects for that matter. So why would the views be of concern? Well, it has to do with the size of Glitch as a company. They are not the small indie studio that they once were when they started making these shows. They have seen massive growth and expansion to the point where they have 3 indie animated projects being developed at once, with them recently opening up a brand new 2D animation department. What other indie studio can boast anything close to that? Now, as I'm sure you can all imagine, this expansion does not come cheap by any means, so Glitch's operating costs will most certainly have increased dramatically since the days of Murder Drones and Meta Runner. That is not even considering that the production values of each of Glitch's successive shows have noticeably gone up. Long gone are the days of motion capture movements for the characters. You combine that with the fact that the Gaslight District has a very unique and detailed art style, then it's not hard to see that the cost for producing the Gaslight District would undoubtedly be higher than Glitch's previous pilots. But how does this relate to the view count, you might ask? Well, all that cost has to be made up from somewhere now, doesn't it? They need to make their money back on their investment. But due to the higher costs of production, the Gaslight District has to perform better relative to Glitch's other shows in order to make their money back comfortably. So, while 15 million views would have been great for Glitch around the time that Murder Drones was in production, for Glitch nowadays, I would have to imagine they were hoping for just a little bit more. As you must remember, a pilot is likely going to represent a show's peak in popularity and relevance. With some exceptions, of course. While they definitely weren't expecting to reach Digital Circus levels of numbers, I would still think they were probably hoping for a bit more. However, in all due likelihood, this is about as well as the Gaslight District is going to do view-wise. If Glitch wanted it to do better, they probably should have hyped up the show a lot more instead of leaving a literal year in between updates on the project. While I don't think it ever had the same mass market appeal that Murder Drones and Digital Circus had, it would have certainly helped out the show's performance a lot. But Glitch does not make the majority of its income from YouTube views. No. It instead gets its funding from 2 primary sources: their investors and their merch sales. Merch is a critical part of Glitch's business operations, as it is the main way Glitch profits from its shows, as YouTube ad revenue just doesn't cut it. So, in terms of the Gaslight District, it needs to have good merch sales in order to give Glitch the confidence to invest more into the project. Now, how well has the Gaslight merch actually done? Well, we don't actually know. They could be really good, or they could be utterly terrible. The figures just aren't publicly available, unfortunately. However, they can't be super duper amazing, as if they were, they would have already likely greenlit the show for a full season, which they haven't seemingly done. Now, while 15 million views don't provide a nice pool of people who might be likely to buy the merch, let's be real, most people just don't buy the merch. They just watch the video and then move on with their day. There is also the unfortunate fact that despite the Gaslight District creativity, its fun cast of characters, and the big voice acting names involved, none of it seems to have translated to the show making that big of a cultural splash. At least, not like Murder Drones and Digital Circus did. This might be due to the show still being very young. We definitely are seeing a small community start to take shape around it after all. Though, it isn't nearly as big or seemingly as dedicated as other contemporary ones. Which, while not conclusive, it suggests that the show may not have that large of a pool of passionate fans that are likely to purchase vast quantities of the show's merch. If this is true, then it doesn't bode well for the show's future. What I suspect Glitch is doing is seeing how well the Gaslight District performed in merch sales over the summer. If they sell enough merch, then they might pick up the show for a full season. If not, then they may quietly shelve the project, which would be a deep shame. However, not all hope is lost for the Gaslight District, as there are still some things working in Mr. Seagull's favour. The first being the general success of Glitch. Digital Circus and Murder Drones are performing very well for Glitch and are generating a lot of revenue for the company. Therefore, Glitch can use this to help sustain the Gaslight District and get the show made. I would imagine Glitch would not want to abandon the show unless they really had to, as it would fly in the face of Glitch's core values, so I could see this being a likely path forward. Another thing we must factor in is Glitch's deal with Netflix and especially with Amazon. If either of them have an interest in placing the Gaslight District on their platforms, then the show would undoubtedly get picked up for a full season. Finally, the deal opens up the potential for Glitch to get future support on the Gaslight District from Amazon, as we will likely see closer cooperation between the two, leading to the Gaslight District maybe getting assisted like the Helliverse was. Though, to be clear, none of what I have stated here has actually been confirmed. It is perfectly possible that I am full of shit, and the Gaslight District has actually done very well, with Glitch already planning out a full season as we speak. Part-Time Seagull might have only made it sound like it wasn't confirmed either by mistake or because it wasn't formally signed off on at the time. To be honest, I hope that is the case, as I would like to see this unique setting and world get fleshed out a lot more. And it would be a deep shame if this show, that is so unapologetically its own thing, not end up getting a full season due to Glitch not being able to financially sustain it. So, if you want to see the Gaslight District become a full series, make sure you buy the Gaslight merch, as that is the way you're going to signal to Glitch that you are interested in this show. Vote with your wallets. In terms of whether or not I think the show is likely to be continued, I would overall say yes, though I don't think it will be entirely due to the show's individual success. Then again, it is perfectly possible that I've underestimated the Gaslight District's performance. But what do you think? Has the Gaslight District performed well? Do you think Glitch will pick it up for a full season? Or do you think I'm talking out of my ass? Let me know in the comments section below. Anyway, that'll be all from me. Remember to like and subscribe and do all the other things that every other YouTuber tells you to do. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, check out my other videos, some of which are even good. Maybe. Either way, I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye bye!